Welcome to Smokin' Bulls, the podcast about business, money, and lifestyle. I'm Tyler.
I'm Dave.
And today we're here to chat about the latest March market insights. You'll find it on our Smokin' Bulls newsroom. You'll also find it in our towerwealth.com newsroom. We're chatting about market insights. Everybody's watching the markets right now. It's been super volatile for a couple of weeks here, and we're here to discuss the comments that are in that article. Where do we kick off, I guess?
Let's deal with the one that everybody just wants to talk about. And, it's kind of hate the players. People are mad at Trump. They're mad at America. A lot of emotion involved, which is pretty much primarily why we're having the volatility we have. But also, there's a lot of emotion, but it makes you feel that we're doomed or that this isn't going to work out well, type thing. So I think the hardest thing, and we've been in the business long enough, is to look past the emotion and find where your portfolios and where your game plan needs to be positioned to, everybody says take advantage of it. I'd like to say to stay the course, because we're not really changing much in our world, but we're maybe changing a little bit how we structure money. We're spending a lot of time talking with clients. And that's the part that's a bit tough, because people do want to talk about this and they do want to talk about the players. And I think we spend some time trying to discount the players, which can be upsetting to people that this is not, they're really concentrated on that scenario.
Yeah, it's something that we try and turn our focus away from, the very short-term volatility that we get into, which is mainstream media driving, the conversation right now, when decisions around investments and portfolio construction should be much longer thinking than just the immediate, couple of months or couple of weeks even in front of you. Yeah. So it's not to say that we don't worry about these periods of time. What we do say is that our portfolios are designed and have been established over many years to accept periods of volatility like this. And if we were to say, okay, you've got money sitting on the sidelines right now, at this point in time, this is an investment opportunity, because what we're seeing is that the fundamentals of the underlying investments are really strong. And a market downturn right now is being driven, as you mentioned, by emotion and not by fundamentals of strong investment performance or strong companies, I guess, that you can invest in. So there's a lot of stuff that we would say is on sale right now, I guess, in the marketplace.
Well, if you remember back in the day, like especially after the financial crisis, and remember the graphs that everybody used to look like the big, and you get down near the bottom, it says capitulation, which to me sounds like you're just like lying in your bed, you can't move. But that a lot of capitulation is emotion as well. And so, I think you're right. There are pieces to be had, but it's very hard for someone who might have cash, or maybe they move money into bonds, or maybe they move money into cash or savings accounts, to come back into something like this, because it is such a charged situation. But there's so many sayings that go with this. When there's blood in the streets, invest. All of these types of things. I've always been I think it was Catholic or Christian. When people needed money, I was willing to put money into something, and when people wanted out, I was willing to buy stuff from them. I can't remember the exact same, but it's the same as this. There's an opportunity here. I think, I guess one more metaphor. It's like having a boss you just hate, and you hate and you hate and you hate, and maybe it's the job you hate, maybe it's the boss you hate, but there's someone who's just a good focus of that attention. But are you going to quit? Like, you have to have something that lasts your lifetime. So if you quit every time you hate somebody, that's going to be a messy financial lifestyle for you. The trick,
this emotion driving your decision, is often getting you out of the market when you should have gotten out weeks ago, and then getting you back in when you should have gotten in weeks before. So you end up, getting out and guaranteeing your loss and not getting back in time to catch the run up. As quickly as the markets go down, they go up, and you miss those first few days of the recovery, and now you'll never recover. Yeah. So, we're of the mindset that we build a diversified portfolio that, reduces your volatility and exposure to this kind of, crazy day-to-day activity. And we always try and keep our mind focused beyond what's happening day to day.
Yeah, I think if we look at maybe some of the underlying things and themes that we are paying attention to that are happening with all of this noise, and we can call it tariffs, we can call it governments, these are all pieces that we have to look at. So essentially, it's just the world's going to change. There's no other way around it. If you think of some of the comments and the insights, kind of a new world order, in the sense that we've kind of ignored some things historically in Canada. We are next door to the biggest economic force in the world, and they're changing, and it's going to force us to change, and nobody likes change, right? So we have to look how internally, Canada can be stronger and be better prepared to work beside whatever it becomes. And that's just something that we have to factor into how we manage portfolios.
Yeah, and I think what Jim Thorne touches on in the articles too is, this could play out to be a good thing for Canada, where we become more interdependent instead of dependent so much on the US, and maybe some of the trade barriers that exist between provinces and the arguments, the squabbles that we have within our nation become diminished, and we open our borders more for trade internally. And Canada becomes stronger and becomes more resilient by being less dependent on the US.
Yeah, I mean, that's the old argument. When you don't have anything really going on, the littlest thing becomes the biggest problem you have.
For sure.
We have a big problem now. And all those little things that we used to worry about and be angry at each other about are kind of gone to the backside.
Well, when we all get this common enemy, it's easy to unite people, right? And so maybe that's a good thing that comes from this. Because I think we'd be in agreement, and I think Trump says this, or not Trump, but Thorne references this stuff as well, is that the U.S. is going to become stronger. It's just going to take some time. But Trump is trying to bring manufacturing and bring business back to the U.S. and make it easier to do business in the U.S. because they've lost a lot of that to China. Yeah. So yet they import a ton of products from China. So he's losing the manufacturing in the U.S. and then importing the goods that they need from a different country. He's saying, why can't we do all of that right here? And I suppose there's no reason they can't, but it's going to be tough to get it there.
Well, but this isn't just the U.S. on that. That's every country's trying to do that. Look at people's call in Canada. Why do we have all this oil and gas? We send it to the States to be refined, and then we buy it back as a finished good. Well, there's economics at play here that are
for sure on the refinery side.
We could have a whole other discussion on that, but I guess with all of those pieces, essentially, we're still involved in the markets, but you have to be particular about where you want to be. We could possibly end up in a recession here. Employment numbers are slipping. GDP is slipping. But that doesn't mean that there aren't, businesses out there that are making money. And when you and I, before this had a bit of a discussion, just the sheer billions of dollars that the top companies in the States are spending on their transition to AI and AI data centers and all of that. That's unseen type spending money.
Yeah, it's almost, it is unheard of how much is being poured into that. And Canada can be a benefactor from that because of our energy. And the US's demand for our energy and building out their data centers is going to help us because they're going to need more energy. And we're an energy rich nation. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can capitalize on their need for that.
And I think because data is data, we move a lot of data back and forth across the border. It's not like trying to put a tariff on a truck coming across the border, an actual physical good. This is pure the cost of storing data, and that cost is infrastructure, it's semiconductors, it's graphics, GPUs, but power, and that's the biggest one that we've talked about, power. And so you have to keep these things at a certain temperature, and a little colder here. Yeah, for more of the year than most places. It might be a little easier to keep that.
To build it here.
Yeah. So I think the main closing thoughts, I guess we can markets are shifting, but we have to stay focused. And those are going to be where we'll win. Avoid panic, take advantage of the pullbacks. Certainly in our portfolio, we don't store a lot in cash. We don't like trying to buy in and sell out. But I think for us, it's our tactical asset allocation. So being overweight in certain areas and making those changes, which is what we do.
And I think those are all great reasons to have a portfolio manager in your corner. I know that people are inundated with advertising and commercials now about, run your own portfolio. But when it comes to times like these, it's tough to stay that course when it's your own money. You're got all these demands from mainstream media placed on you to say, do this, don't do that. Yeah. And how do you make a clear and informed decision? It can be very tough to stay the course.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, after 30-something years in the business, I watch some of those commercials and I go, man, I can't imagine myself sitting there at 25 telling my friends I got my crap all together and that they gotta get their crap together.
No kidding.
Some bold statements.
Yeah, no kidding. That's our market insights update from Smokin' Bulls. If you want to learn more about us, head over to our socials or check us out online at smokingbulls.com. Thanks for watching.